As you rest tonight, peace reaches the hurting part of you. Not because every problem has suddenly disappeared, not because every question has been answered, not because the past has changed or every fear has gone quiet. Peace reaches you because you are finally allowing yourself to stop carrying everything for a little while. You are giving your heart permission to loosen its grip. You are allowing your body to feel the bed beneath you. You are letting the day move away from you instead of dragging it into every corner of the night. You have carried enough for one day. You have thought about enough. You have tried to understand enough. You have replayed enough words, enough moments, enough choices, enough silence. You have searched for answers in places that could not give them. You have tried to solve tomorrow before tomorrow has even arrived. You have held conversations inside your mind that may never happen outside of it. You have returned to the same questions, hoping that one more round of thinking would finally bring peace. But peace does not always come through more thinking. Sometimes peace begins when you stop asking the mind to finish what the heart is too tired to carry. The room may be quiet, but your thoughts may still be moving. Your body may be lying down, but some part of you may still be standing guard. Your eyes may feel heavy while your heart remains awake. You may feel tired enough to sleep, yet too full inside to truly rest. There may be something you wish you had said, something you wish you had done differently, something you still do not understand. A message you wanted but did not receive, an answer you hoped would come, a kindness you needed, a moment you keep returning to, because part of you still believes that if you study it long enough, you will find the reason it hurts so much. You do not need to solve it now. Tonight is not asking you to become stronger. It is not asking you to understand everything. It is not asking you to forgive before you are ready or forget what mattered. It is not asking you to push the pain away and pretend you feel nothing. Tonight is asking you to stop fighting yourself. There is a difference between feeling pain and fighting pain. Feeling says, "This hurts." Fighting says, "I should not feel this." Feeling says, "I am tired." Fighting says, "I must keep going." Feeling says, "I wish things had been different." Fighting says, "I am weak for still caring." The feeling itself may already be heavy. You do not need to place judgment on top of it. You do not need another hard voice inside you. You do not need another demand. You do not need to be told to move on faster, heal faster, sleep faster, stop caring faster, or become peaceful before your heart is ready. The hurting part of you does not need pressure. It needs presence. It needs to know that you are not leaving it alone tonight. Perhaps you have spent a long time trying to escape what you feel. Perhaps you kept yourself busy. Perhaps you reached for noise so the silence would not bring back the memory. Perhaps you kept checking for something outside yourself that would finally make the pain settle. Yet the heart often becomes calmer, not when it is distracted again, but when it finally feels heard. You can gently say to yourself, I know something in me is hurting. I know something in me is tired. I know I have been carrying more than I admit. I do not have to hide it from myself anymore. There is no shame in needing comfort. There is no shame in being tired of pretending that something did not affect you. There is no shame in wishing you could place your head down and feel completely safe for a while. You are allowed to need peace before you know exactly how to create it. You are allowed to rest before your life looks the way you hoped it would look. You are allowed to stop working on yourself for the night. You are allowed to be unfinished and still be worthy of gentleness. What if this night is not here to test you? What if it is here to hold you? What if the darkness is not empty but quiet enough for love to come closer? What if you do not need to fix your heart before peace is allowed to touch it? Perhaps you have believed that rest must be earned, that you can only relax when every task is finished, every person is satisfied, every problem is handled, every mistake is corrected, and every uncertain part of the future becomes clear. But life rarely becomes completely settled. There may always be something unfinished. There may always be another task, another question, another unknown. If you wait for life to become perfect before you rest, the body may keep waiting for a peace that never receives permission to begin. Rest is not a reward for solving everything. Rest is part of how you return to yourself. You do not have to prove that you are tired enough. You do not have to explain why your heart feels heavy. You do not have to compare your pain with anyone else's pain. If something hurts you, then it deserves your kindness. Maybe the pain feels small when you try to explain it. Maybe you tell yourself that you should be over it. Maybe you say that others have faced worse. But your heart does not need a reason that sounds important to the world. It needs honesty. Something hurt. Something disappointed you. Something made you question your worth. Something left you feeling alone. Something did not happen the way you hoped. And now you are here, trying to rest while part of you still holds the weight. You can put some of it down. You do not have to throw it away forever. You do not have to promise that you will never think about it again. You only have to give yourself permission not to hold it for the next few hours. You can tell the problem, I will not carry you through every moment of this night. You can tell the question, you do not need an answer before morning. You can tell the memory, you may exist, but you do not need to control the whole room. You can tell the hurting part, I see you. I am staying. You may rest beside me. There is something powerful about ending the fight, not giving up on life, not giving up on yourself, only giving up the belief that pain must be watched every second in order for you to be safe. You do not become safer by keeping every fear awake. You do not become more prepared by imagining every possible loss. You do not become more loved by thinking about the person who did not know how to love you. You do not become more worthy by reviewing everything you believe is wrong with you. You are worthy now, even in this tired state. You are worthy while your heart is still learning. You are worthy even when you do not know what comes next. The day may have asked you to be responsible, alert, helpful, careful, patient, productive, calm, and strong. But the night asks something different. The night asks you to soften. It asks you to stop performing. It asks you to stop explaining. It asks you to stop holding your breath while waiting for life to change. It asks you to come back to the quiet truth that you are still here. You made it through this day. Maybe you did not handle everything perfectly. Maybe you reacted from fear. Maybe you said something you wish you could change. Maybe you avoided something important. Maybe you felt too much or shut down because feeling anything seemed too hard. You are still allowed to rest. You do not need to punish yourself through another sleepless night. Punishment does not create wisdom. Criticism does not create peace. Fear does not create the safety it promises. Kindness creates the space where a new choice can become possible. So be kind to the version of you who lived through today. That version may have been doing the best it could with the energy, knowledge, and strength it had at the time. You can learn tomorrow. You can make changes tomorrow. You can speak, decide, begin. Then stop, ask, answer, and move tomorrow. For now, you are allowed to stop. Let the day be complete, even if it was not perfect. Let unfinished tasks remain unfinished. Let unanswered messages remain unanswered. Let other people carry their own thoughts tonight. Let life continue without your control for a while. You have been holding so much inside. Perhaps you have not told anyone how tired you really feel. Perhaps you have learned to smile while something in you is breaking. Perhaps you have been giving comfort while quietly needing comfort yourself. You do not have to hide from yourself. You can admit, I need peace. You can admit, I do not want to be strong right now. You can admit, I am tired of carrying this. You can admit, part of me is still hurting. These words do not make you weak. They make you honest. And honesty opens a door that pretending keeps closed. Behind that door is not instant perfection. It is something gentler. It is relief. It is the small feeling that you no longer have to stand against yourself. It is the moment when the heart realizes that it is finally being listened to. You can place one loving thought beside the pain. I am here. You can place another. I will not judge you tonight. And another. You do not have to disappear for me to love you. Let these thoughts be enough. Do not force yourself to feel calm. Do not measure whether the words are working. Do not turn peace into another task you must complete correctly. Simply let the words come near. The heart may need time before it trusts softness. The body may need time before it believes it can release its guard. That is okay. You are not trying to force open a door. You are showing the door that it is safe to open whenever it is ready. Tonight, I stop asking my heart to carry what it is ready to release. Maybe the heart releases a little sadness. Maybe it releases one old conversation. Maybe it releases the need to know why. Maybe it releases nothing yet, but it notices that you are no longer demanding. Even that matters. Sometimes healing begins as a small change in the way you sit beside your pain. Yesterday, you may have attacked it. Today, you may have hidden it. Tonight, you may simply stay. You may not feel completely peaceful yet, but you are making room for peace. You are not forcing yourself to move on. You are allowing yourself to be held while you are still where you are. You are not denying what happened. You are deciding that what happened does not need to fill every quiet moment. You are not abandoning the part that hurts. You are giving it somewhere softer to rest. You have carried enough for today. The night does not need more from you. The people you care about do not need your worry while they sleep. The future does not need your fear in order to arrive. Your body does not need another hour of tension to prove that you care. You can care and rest. You can love and release. You can be uncertain and still soften. You can miss anything and still allow yourself to sleep. You can feel hurt and still receive peace. Let that be possible. Not perfect, not complete, just possible. A small opening is enough for peace to enter. When the day becomes quiet, the feelings you pushed aside may begin to speak. During the day, there may be work, movement, messages, noise, responsibilities, and people who need something from you. Your attention moves from one task to the next. Even when pain is present, it may stay in the background because there is no room to fully feel it. Then the night arrives. The outside world becomes quieter, and the inside world becomes easier to hear. A memory returns. A question rises. An old fear comes closer. A feeling you managed to avoid all day begins to sit beside you. This does not mean the night is against you. The night did not create the pain. It simply made enough quiet for the pain to be heard. Perhaps you have noticed that the same thought feels heavier after dark. Something that seemed manageable in the afternoon can feel much larger when you are lying alone with it. A short silence can feel like rejection. One uncertain moment can turn into a frightening future. One regret can become a long list of everything you believe you did wrong. The tired mind does not always tell the truth clearly. When you are tired, thoughts may lose balance. Fear may sound more convincing. The future may seem darker. The past may feel closer. You may forget every sign of progress and remember only the moments that hurt. This is why you must be gentle with the thoughts that arrive at night. Not every thought deserves to become a belief. Not every fear deserves to become a prediction. Not every memory deserves to become a place you live in again. You can notice a thought without following it. You can hear fear without giving it the final word. You can feel sadness without deciding that sadness is your whole future. The mind may say, nothing will change. You can answer, I am tired. And tired thoughts often speak in extremes. The mind may say, I will always feel this way. You can answer, this feeling is here now, but it is not the whole of me. The mind may say, I was not enough. You can answer, another person's actions do not decide my worth. The mind may say, I must solve this before I sleep. You can answer, I may understand more clearly after I rest. You do not need to argue with every thought. You can simply stop treating each one as a command. Pain often becomes louder at night because it finally has your attention. Maybe you spent the day being useful. Maybe you listened to everyone else. Maybe you handled what needed to be handled. Maybe you kept moving because stopping felt dangerous. Maybe you told yourself that you were fine because you did not have time to be anything else. Then the night arrives, and the part you ignored says, what about me? What about the sadness? What about the fear? What about the moment that still hurts? What about the words that change something inside? What about the part that feels forgotten? This part is not trying to ruin your sleep. It may be trying to reach you in the only quiet moment it can find. You can listen without letting it take over. You can say, I hear you. You can say, I know you have been waiting. You can say, you do not need to become louder for me to notice you. Sometimes pain grows louder because it has been pushed away many times. When a feeling rises and you say, I should not feel this, the feeling does not always leave. It may go deeper. It may wait. It may return when you are tired, when the room is quiet, when you no longer have enough energy to keep the door closed. The answer is not to build a stronger door. The answer may be to open it gently and let the feeling speak without allowing it to control everything. What are you trying to tell me? Maybe the sadness says, I needed more care. Maybe the fear says, I do not want to be hurt again. Maybe the anger says, something crossed my limit. Maybe the loneliness says, I miss feeling close to someone. Maybe the regret says, I wish I had known then what I know now. Maybe the tiredness says, I have been carrying too much for too long. The feeling may contain information. It may show you where you need a boundary. It may show you where you need rest. It may show you where you need to stop chasing. It may show you where you need to forgive yourself. it may show you what you have been pretending does not matter. Listening does not mean obeying every feeling. You can listen to fear without letting fear choose your future. You can listen to anger without causing harm. You can listen to loneliness without returning to someone who repeatedly hurts you. You can listen to regret without using it as a reason to punish yourself. You can say, "I understand why you are here, and I will choose what is loving from this point forward." Pain that is heard can begin to soften. Pain that is attacked often becomes more afraid. You may have attacked your pain without realizing it. You may have said, "Why am I still like this? Why can I not get over it? Why am I so sensitive? Why do I care so much? Why do I keep thinking about this?" These questions may sound like you are searching for answers, but they often carry blame. The hurting part does not hear curiosity. It hears rejection. It hears you are a problem. It hears you are taking too long. It hears, "I do not want you here." And then the pain becomes more afraid, because even inside your own heart, it does not feel safe. You can ask different questions. What do I need tonight? What am I afraid of? What am I trying to protect? What would help me feel less alone? What would kindness sound like right now? These questions do not push the pain away. They change the way you meet it. Perhaps what you need is not another answer. Perhaps you need to stop asking yourself to understand everything before you can rest. Not every painful moment comes with a clear reason. Not very ending gives you closure. Not every person explains why they acted the way they did. Not every loss can be made fair. You may never receive the exact sentence that makes everything clear. You may never hear the apology you hoped for. You may never understand why someone could see your heart and still treat it carelessly. But your healing does not have to remain frozen while you wait for another person to explain your pain. You can begin to give yourself what the missing answer could not give. You can give yourself belief. I believe that what I felt was real. You can give yourself respect. I do not have to return to what kept hurting me. You can give yourself release. I may never understand every reason, but I do not need to carry this forever. The night can make old rejection feel close again. You may remember a time when you felt unwanted. You may remember silence where you hoped for love. You may remember choosing someone who did not choose you in the same way. You may remember trying harder and receiving less. The mind may turn that memory into a statement about who you are. It may say, "I was not chosen because I was not worthy." But someone's inability to choose you with honesty, care, and respect does not prove that you were not worth choosing. It proves only that the connection could not give you what your heart needed. Your worth did not disappear because someone failed to see it. Your value did not become smaller because someone walked away. Your heart did not become foolish because it loved. You may have loved with the knowledge you had at the time. You may have trusted because trust felt natural. You may have stayed because hope was strong. You may have ignored signs because you wanted the good parts to be real. You can learn without hating the version of you who hoped. You can become wiser without becoming cold. You can protect your heart without closing it forever. You can say, I understand more now. I will choose differently when I need to, but I will not punish myself for wanting love. Pain can also become louder because the night reminds you of what is missing. During the day, noise may cover loneliness. At night, the empty space may feel larger. You may notice the absence of a voice, a touch, a message, or the simple feeling of being understood. Loneliness can make the mind reach toward what is familiar, even when what is familiar was painful. It may tell you to send the message, check again, return again, accept less again, anything to avoid the empty feeling. But not every urge is guidance. Sometimes the urge to return is only the nervous system asking for relief. Temporary contact may quiet loneliness for a moment, but it may reopen the wound that you are trying to heal. You can feel lonely without betraying yourself. You can miss someone without returning to the same pattern. You can desire connection without accepting confusion. You can allow the night to be quiet without using that quiet as proof that you are unloved. You are not unloved because the room is silent. You are not forgotten because no message arrived. You are not alone in life because you feel alone in this moment. A feeling is real, but it is not always a complete description of reality. There is life around you. There is love you have not yet met. There is kindness that may reach you through a form you cannot see tonight. There is a future self who will be grateful that you did not return to what kept breaking your peace. There is also your own presence. You may have spent years looking outside yourself for someone who would never leave. Yet tonight, you can begin becoming the presence that stays. When sadness comes, you stay. When fear rises, you stay. When the memory returns, you stay. When loneliness whispers, you stay. You do not have to solve the feeling. You only refuse to abandon yourself inside it. That is a quiet form of healing. You may believe that healing means you never think about the pain again. But healing can look much simpler. The memory returns, but you do not lose your whole night. The fear rises, but you do not believe every word. The loneliness appears, but you do not run back to what harmed you. The sadness comes, but you speak to yourself gently. You remember, but you also remember yourself. You feel, but you do not disappear inside the feeling. These changes may seem small, but they are not small. They show that the pain is no longer the only voice inside you. There is another voice now, a calmer voice, a kinder voice, a voice that says, I know this hurts, but I am here. A voice that says, you do not need to make a decision from this tired state. A voice that says, let morning bring more light. A voice that says, You are not failing because the feeling returned. You are learning to meet your feelings with love. Perhaps the pain will still speak tonight. Let it speak gently. Let it tell you what it needs. Then remind it that the night is not a courtroom. You do not have to prove anything. You do not have to build a case against yourself. You do not have to review every mistake. The night can become a place of listening instead of a place of battle. You can hear the heart without letting fear control the story. You can allow the memory without feeding it for hours. You can admit the loneliness without calling it permanent. You can feel what is here and still make room for something softer. You are not failing because you still feel. You are not moving backward because an old wound became tender. You are not broken because the quiet brought tears. The tears may be the body releasing what words could not carry. The heaviness may be asking for rest. The memory may be ready to be held in a new way. Do not rush it. Do not force peace. Meet yourself honestly. I feel this. I do not like that it hurts. I wish it were different, and I will not turn against myself because of it. That is enough for this moment. You may have learned to believe that everything depends on you. You may feel responsible for keeping peace, finding answers, fixing problems, understanding everyone, staying calm, remaining available, and making sure nothing falls apart. Even when the day ends, the responsibility may continue inside your mind. You think about what someone else is feeling. You wonder whether you said the right thing. You prepare for conversations that have not happened. You try to predict another person's next choice. You worry about money, family, work, health, love, and the future, as if your worry is the only thing keeping everything from collapsing. But you are not holding the whole world together through fear. Life continues even when you stop watching it. Other people remain responsible for their choices when you close your eyes. Tomorrow does not need to be managed before it arrives. You are allowed to place down what does not fully belong to you. Perhaps you are carrying another person's feelings. You may be asking, are they upset with me? Did I disappoint them? What if they misunderstood? What if they leave because I set a boundary? What if they think I am selfish because I need rest? These questions can keep you awake long after the conversation has ended. But another person's reaction is not always proof that you did something wrong. Sometimes people become uncomfortable when you stop doing what made life easier for them. Sometimes someone may be disappointed because you finally said no. Sometimes someone may misunderstand because they are looking through their own fear. Sometimes silence does not mean rejection. Sometimes distance is not punishment. Sometimes a person simply has their own inner world, their own worries, their own choices, and their own lessons. You cannot control how every person sees you. You can speak honestly. You can act with care. You can correct yourself when needed. But you cannot enter another person's mind and arrange every thought they have about you. You do not need to spend the night trying. Let other people carry their own thoughts. Let them have their own feelings. Let them decide what they need to decide. Your job is not to become whatever keeps everyone comfortable. Your job is to remain true to what is loving, honest, and respectful. You may care deeply and still rest. You may love someone and stop carrying their choices. You may want the best for someone and accept that you cannot walk their path for them. You may offer support without becoming responsible for their whole life. Love does not require you to lose yourself. Care does not require constant worry. Being a good person does not mean being available at every moment. You are allowed to have limits. You are allowed to feel tired. You are allowed to say, I cannot hold this tonight. Maybe you are carrying a problem that has no answer yet. You have thought about every side. You have made lists inside your mind. You have imagined the best outcome and the worst. You have tried to force clarity because uncertainty feels unsafe. But some answers only become clear after the mind becomes quiet. Some choices cannot be made wisely while the body is full of fear. Some paths appear only after you stop pushing against every closed door. You do not have to make the final decision tonight. You can allow the question to remain open. An open question is not a failure. An unfinished situation is not proof that life has stopped. You may understand more after sleep. You may notice a detail you could not see while tired. You may wake with a calmer feeling around one direction. You may still not know, but you may feel stronger inside the not knowing. The future does not always reveal itself through force. Sometimes it becomes clearer when you stop demanding that it speak immediately. You can say, I do not know yet. There is peace in an honest I do not know. It removes the pressure to create a false answer just to escape uncertainty. You are allowed to wait until your mind is clearer. You are allowed to take one step instead of knowing the whole path. You are allowed to trust that life can meet you while you move. Perhaps you are carrying financial pressure. The numbers may feel heavy. The future may seem uncertain. You may be trying to solve every possible problem while lying in bed. You may believe that if you stop worrying, you are being careless. But worry is not a plan. Worry repeats danger. A plan chooses a step. You can care about money without frightening yourself through the night. You can look honestly at what needs attention. You can make practical choices. You can ask for help. You can learn. You can change habits. You can take action when morning comes. But you do not need to turn your bed into another place of work. You do not need to review the same fear again and again. The numbers will not become kinder because you punish your body with sleeplessness. You may need rest in order to think clearly, work wisely, and notice a new solution. You can tell yourself, I will face what needs to be faced. But I will not face it through panic tonight. That is not avoidance. It is choosing the right time and the right state. Perhaps you are carrying regret. You may be holding a choice you wish you could change, a chance you did not take, a boundary you did not set, a truth you did not speak, a place where you stayed too long, a moment when fear made the decision. You may believe that replaying it proves you understand the mistake, but there comes a point when replaying stops teaching and begins punishing. You already know it hurt. You already know you wish you had chosen differently. You do not need to continue hurting yourself to prove that you have learned. Wisdom says, I see what happened. I understand more now. I will carry the lesson forward. Punishment says, I must keep returning to the pain because I do not deserve peace. You do deserve peace. You can regret something and still forgive yourself enough to sleep. You can wish you had known more and remember that you only knew what you knew at the time. You can take responsibility without turning your whole identity into one mistake. A choice you made is something that happened. It is not the complete truth of who you are. You are still learning. You are still becoming. You are still able to make another choice. Tomorrow is not asking you to arrive without a past. It is asking you to arrive with more awareness. Let the past teach you, but do not let it keep you awake as punishment. Perhaps you are carrying fear about someone you love. You may worry about their health, their decisions, their safety, their future, or their pain. You may feel helpless because you cannot control what happens. Love can make the heart feel responsible for things it cannot change, but you cannot protect someone by never resting. You cannot control every road they walk. You cannot prevent every difficulty. You cannot make every choice for them. You can love. You can support. You can speak honestly. You can be present when it is healthy to be present. And you can accept that life is also moving through them in ways that do not depend only on you. Your worry is not the source of their protection. You may place them in the care of life for the night. You may say, I love you, and I release the belief that I must remain afraid in order to prove it. Fear is not the measure of love. Peace does not mean you care less. Rest does not mean you have forgotten. You may care deeply and still allow your body to sleep. Perhaps you are carrying the need to be understood. You want someone to see why you did what you did. You want them to know your heart. You want them to understand that you were not trying to hurt them, reject them, disappoint them, or make things difficult. You may be building the perfect explanation in your mind, but no explanation can force understanding from someone who is not ready to receive it. You can choose your words carefully. You can speak when the time is right. You can apologize if you truly caused harm. You can clarify what needs to be clear. And then you may have to release the outcome. Your peace cannot depend on controlling how another person tells the story. You know what you meant. You know what you have learned. You know whether you acted from care or fear. you know where you need to grow. Let that honest knowledge guide you. You do not need to hold another person's judgment in your body all night. What are you carrying that does not fully belong to you? Is it someone else's mood, someone else's decision, someone else's silence, someone else's opinion, someone else's healing, someone else's responsibility? Perhaps you have been carrying it because you were taught that love means never putting anything down. But healthy love knows when to help and when to release. Healthy love does not ask you to destroy your peace to prove your devotion. Healthy love allows each heart to carry what belongs to it. You can place down another person's anger. You can place down their confusion. You can place down the press here to save them. You can place down the belief that their happiness depends completely on you. You can still care. You can still remain kind. You can still be available in ways that do not empty you. But you do not have to hold the whole world together. Perhaps you are carrying tomorrow. You are imagining everything that could happen. What if the conversation goes badly? What if the answer is no? What if the plan fails? What if you cannot handle it? The mind tries to visit every possible future so it will not be surprised. Yet in trying to prepare for every future, it steals the only moment where you can truly rest. Tomorrow will give you the information of tomorrow. You do not have it yet. You do not need to live every possible version of the day before one real version arrives. You can meet what comes when it comes. You have handled days before without knowing everything in advance. You have found words in moments when you thought you would have none. You have made choices after believing you were too confused. You have moved through pain you once thought would never soften. You do not need to trust that everything will be easy. You only need to trust that you can meet life one moment at a time. The whole day does not arrive at once. The whole future does not arrive at once. Life comes as one breath, one conversation, one decision, one step. You do not have to carry the weight of every step while you are still lying in the dark. What problem are you trying to solve through repeated fear? Fear may tell you that if you stop thinking, you will miss something important. But the important thought can return tomorrow. Fear may say that if you relax, something bad will happen. But tension does not control life. Fear may say that you must remain alert. But you are allowed to ask whether the danger is here now or only living in your imagination. In this present moment, perhaps you are in a room. Perhaps the door is closed. Perhaps the day has ended. Perhaps nothing is being asked of you right now. Let the body receive the truth of this moment, not the fear of every possible moment. Right now, you do not have to answer. Right now, you do not have to fix. Right now, you do not have to protect everyone. Right now, you do not have to know. You may rest inside the small space of now. Can you trust life to continue moving while you rest? The earth does not need your attention to continue turning. Morning does not need your worry to arrive. Other people's lives do not stop when you close your eyes. Your future does not fall apart because you choose sleep. Life is larger than the part you can control. There are meetings, ideas, answers, and changes that may already be moving toward you through paths you cannot see. There are choices you will make with more wisdom after rest. There are feelings that may become less sharp by morning. There are burdens that may look different when the body is no longer exhausted. You do not have to stay awake to supervise the universe. You can release the need to hold everything together tonight. Say it gently inside. I release the need to hold everything together tonight. Let the words mean that you are giving the body a break from responsibility. Let them mean that another person's path can belong to them for a while. Let them mean that unanswered questions may remain unanswered until the light returns. Let them mean that you are not required to solve your whole life before sleep. You may still feel concern. You may still have thoughts. You may still notice tension. That is okay. Releasing is not always one great moment. Sometimes it is a choice you make again each time the mind reaches for the burden. The thought returns. You answer, not now. The fear returns. You answer, I will meet what comes when it comes. The memory returns. You answer, I do not need to live there tonight. The responsibility returns. You answer, I have done what I can for today. You are not pushing life away. You are placing a gentle limit around the night. The night belongs to rest. The problem can wait. The conversation can wait. The decision can wait. The explanation can wait. The world can continue without your fear for a few hours. You have held enough. You have cared enough. You have tried enough for this day. Placing down the burden is not abandonment. It is trust. It is trusting that rest has value. It is trusting that you do not have to hurt in order to prove love. It is trusting that life can carry what your tired mind cannot. It is trusting that morning may bring a clearer heart. Let the burden remain outside this moment. You may pick up what is truly yours when you are ready. You may leave behind what never belonged to you. You may discover that some things do not need to be carried again. For now, let your heart know that it is no longer responsible for holding the entire world together. It may simply rest. There may be a part of you that still feels left behind, a part that remembers what happened even when you try not to think about it, a part that still waits for the answer, the apology, the change, the return, or the moment when everything finally makes sense. You may have tried to silence this part. You may have told it to be stronger. You may have told it that enough time has passed. You may have asked why it still reacts, why it still feels afraid, why it still remembers. But the hurting part of you is not trying to make life harder. It is trying to protect something tender. It may be protecting the place where trust was broken. It may be protecting the place where you felt unseen. It may be protecting the hope that once opened and then closed in pain. It may be protecting the part of you that learned to expect disappointment before joy could arrive. This part is not your enemy. It is not proof that you are weak. It is not proof that you are stuck. It is a part of you that has not yet felt safe enough to rest. Perhaps it still believes that if it stops watching, the same pain will happen again. Perhaps it believes that if it becomes soft, someone will take advantage of that softness. Perhaps it believes that if it lets go of the memory, it will forget the lesson. Perhaps it believes that staying hurt is the only way to stay protected. You do not need to force this part to change tonight. You can begin by meeting it. You can begin by saying, I know you are here. You can begin by saying, I understand why you are afraid. You can begin by saying, I will not shame you for needing time. There is healing in being met without pressure. There is healing in being heard without being corrected. There is healing in knowing that you do not have to hide from your own heart. You may have spent years avoiding the place that hurts because you did not know what would happen if you looked at it closely. Maybe you feared that the sadness would become too large. Maybe you feared that anger would take over. Maybe you feared that you would fall apart if you allowed yourself to feel what was buried. But feelings do not always become stronger when they are faced. Sometimes they become softer because they no longer have to fight for your attention. You can approach the pain gently, not as a problem to solve, not as a weakness to remove, not as something shameful. You can approach it as you would approach a frightened part of yourself that has been waiting in the dark. You do not need perfect words. You do not need a special method. You only need honesty and kindness. You can say, I know something in me feels unsafe. I know something in me is still expecting pain. I know something in me wants to be held. I know something in me is tired of being strong. These words may feel simple, but simple words can reach places that long explanations cannot. The hurting part does not always need a reason. It needs a response. It needs to know that you are here now. Perhaps the pain comes from feeling rejected. A part of you may still ask, why was I not chosen? Why was I not enough? Why could someone see my love and still walk away? Why did I give so much and receive so little? These questions can live in the heart for a long time. They can quietly shape the way you see yourself. They can make you doubt your beauty, your value, your kindness, your ability to be loved. But another person's choice does not become the truth about you. Someone may have walked away because they were not ready. Someone may have been unable to give what you needed. Someone may have been living from their own fear, confusion, or limits. Their choice may have hurt you deeply, but it did not decide your worth. You were not created without value. because someone failed to value you. You did not become harder to love because someone could not love you well. You did not become less important because someone did not know how to stay. The hurting part may need to hear this many times, not as a loud statement, as a gentle correction to an old belief. I was not rejected because I had no value. I was not left because I was unworthy of love. What happened was painful, but it did not define me. You can let these words sit beside the part that still feels unwanted. Do not force it to believe immediately. Let it listen. Let it consider that another truth may exist. Perhaps the pain comes from abandonment. You may have learned to expect that people leave. You may feel afraid when someone becomes quiet. A delayed response may create panic. A change in tone may feel like danger. Distance may wake an old fear before you even know what is happening. You may begin to chase, explain, apologize, or prove your value because part of you believes love will disappear unless you hold it tightly. This does not mean you are too needy or too difficult. It may mean that some part of you learned that closeness was not stable. It may mean that love once felt uncertain. It may mean that you became alert to every small sign because you did not want to be surprised again. You can meet this fear without attacking it. You can say, I understand why silence feels dangerous. I understand why distance brings back old pain. I understand why I want to hold on, and I am learning that I do not have to abandon myself when someone else becomes distant. This is a new kind of safety. It does not depend on another person behaving exactly as you hope. It begins inside. It begins when you decide that if someone leaves, you will not leave yourself too. If someone becomes unclear, you will remain clear about your worth. If someone cannot give you love, you will not use their limit as a reason to hate yourself. If someone changes, you will still remain present with your own heart. The hurting part may have believed that safety comes only when another person promises never to leave. But deep safety begins when you know that you will stay with yourself through whatever comes. You can say, I am here with you. I will not abandon you. I will listen when you are afraid. I will protect you with wisdom, not panic. I will not force you to beg for love. I will not make you prove that you deserve care. These words can become a new inner home. Perhaps the hurting part feels responsible for everything. Maybe you learn to watch the moods around you. You learn to notice when someone was unhappy. You learn to adjust yourself so conflict would not begin. You learn to stay quiet, become useful, remain agreeable, or hide your needs. You may still do this now. You may enter a room and immediately ask what everyone else needs. You may feel guilty when you need something. You may believe that your role is to keep everything calm. You may carry another person's feelings as though they are your responsibility. This part of you may be tired. It may have been working for a very long time. It may believe that if it stops managing everything, something bad will happen. You can thank it for trying to keep you safe. You can say, I know you learned to watch everything. I know you believed you had to keep everyone happy. I know. You became careful because being careful once felt safer, but you do not have to hold every emotion in the room anymore. Other people are allowed to feel disappointed. Other people are allowed to solve their own problems. Other people are allowed to carry the results of their own choices. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to stop explaining every boundary. You are allowed to rest even when someone else is unhappy. This does not make you uncaring. It makes room for a healthier kind of care. You can love without losing yourself. You can help without becoming responsible for everything. You can be kind without saying yes to what hurts you. You can listen without carrying the whole weight afterward. Perhaps the hurting part believes it must earn love. It may think it has to be useful, easy, quiet, attractive, successful, patient, or endlessly giving. It may believe that love arrives only after enough effort. You may notice yourself trying to become whatever another person wants. You may hide your true feelings because honesty seems risky. You may give more than you can afford to give. You may accept less than you need because asking for more feels frightening. You may confuse being needed with being loved. The hurting part may need to hear that love is not a prize for perfect behavior. You do not have to perform your way into worth. You do not have to disappear in order to be accepted. You do not have to keep proving that you are easy to love. Real care does not require you to stop being human. It does not require you to have no needs. It does not require you to remain silent when something hurts. It does not require you to become smaller so another person can feel larger. You can say, I am worthy of love even when I am not useful. I am worthy of care even when I am tired. I am worthy of respect even when I say no. I am worthy of kindness even when I am still healing. These words may touch a place that has waited a long time. Let that place receive them slowly. Perhaps the hurting part carries shame. It may still remember a choice you made, a moment when you stayed too long, a moment when you trusted someone who did not treat your trust with care, a moment when fear guided you, a moment when you ignored what you knew. You may look back with the knowledge you have now and judge the person you were then. But the person you were then did not know everything you know now. That version of you may have been lonely. That version may have wanted to believe the best. That version may have been trying to survive. That version may have been afraid to lose what little comfort was available. You can learn from the past without attacking the person you were. You can say, I wish I had chosen differently. I see what I could not see then. I understand more now. And I forgive myself for being human. Forgiveness does not remove the lesson. It removes the need to keep using the lesson as a weapon. You do not have to injure yourself, very night to prove that you regret what happened. You can take the wisdom and leave the cruelty. The hurting part may need to know that you are not angry with it for making a mistake. It may need to know that it still belongs. It may need to know that one choice did not destroy every future possibility. You can tell it. You did not ruin everything. You are allowed to begin again. You are allowed to choose differently now. You are allowed to create a life that does not repeat the old pain. Perhaps the hurting part is tired of appearing strong. You may have become the one who handles things, the one who keeps going, the one who supports others, the one who says it is fine, the one who does not ask for much. People may see your strength and assume that you do not need care. You may have started believing that too. But strength does not mean never feeling tired. Strength does not mean carrying everything alone. Strength does not mean hiding every tear. Strength can also mean admitting that something hurts. It can mean asking for help. It can mean choosing rest before the body demands it. It can mean saying, I cannot continue like this. The hurting part may be waiting for permission to stop being strong for everyone. You can give that permission now. You do not have to hold the same face in the quiet that you hold in the world. You do not have to stay composed. You do not have to explain the tears. You do not have to make your pain look small. You can be soft here. You can be honest here. You can let the heart become tired without calling it weak. Maybe all the hurting part needs tonight is to hear, you do not have to perform for me. You do not have to hide. You do not have to protect me from your feelings. I can sit with you. I can love you while you are tired. I can stay while you are unsure. The moment I hurt is the moment I need my own love most. This is a different way of living. Instead of turning against yourself when pain appears, you turn toward yourself. Instead of asking how quickly the feeling can disappear, you ask what it needs. Instead of treating sadness like failure, you treat it like a message. Instead of treating fear like weakness, you listen for what it is trying to protect. You do not have to obey every feeling. You only have to stop hating yourself for having it. Ask gently, what are you afraid will happen? The answer may come as a thought. Maybe the part is afraid of being alone. Maybe it is afraid of trusting again. Maybe it is afraid that nothing will change. Maybe it is afraid that the pain will always return. Whatever the answer is, do not argue. Listen. Then ask, what do you need to hear tonight? Perhaps it needs to hear, you are safe in this room. Perhaps it needs to hear the past is not happening now. Perhaps it needs to hear, you do not need another person's approval to have value. Perhaps it needs to hear, you are allowed to stop waiting. Perhaps it needs to hear, you can choose peace without betraying what happened. You can offer these words without asking the pain to disappear. You are simply giving it another voice to hear. For a long time, fear may have been the loudest voice. Now love can speak too. Love can say, I see what happened. Love can say, I understand why you are guarded. Love can say, I will not rush you. Love can say, I am staying. You may not feel a great change. You may only feel a little less alone. That is enough. The hurting part has carried the feeling by itself for a long time. Your presence changes that. You are not asking it to heal alone anymore. You are meeting it with warmth. You are showing it that pain can be held without shame. And slowly, the part that has been watching the door may begin to understand that it is allowed to sit down. The part that has been waiting for danger may begin to notice that this moment is quiet. The part that has been begging to be chosen may begin to feel chosen by you. The part that has been hiding may begin to come closer. Do not force anything. Let the meeting be enough. Let your inner words remain simple. I see you. I hear you. I know you are tired. I will not leave you alone with this. You are not too much for me. You are not difficult to love. You are allowed to rest. Peace does not ask you to pretend that nothing happened. It does not ask you to deny the pain. It does not ask you to smile over a wound that still feels tender. Peace is not forgetting. Peace is not forcing forgiveness. Peace is not becoming numb. Peace is the gentle presence that enters the place where pain has been living alone. It comes without judgment. It comes without asking the wound to become smaller. It sits beside what hurts and says, you do not have to carry this by yourself anymore. You may have believed that peace would arrive only after the wound was completely gone. You may have thought that you had to heal first, understand first, forgive first, or stop caring first. But peace can come before all of that. Peace can reach you while the questions are still open. It can reach you while the memory still feels real. It can reach you while some part of you still wishes the past had been different. Peace does not wait for perfection. It enters through willingness. It enters through the small moment when you stop fighting yourself. Imagine a dark room with one small opening. The room does not become bright all at once. A little light enters. It touches one part of the floor, then another. The darkness does not need to be attacked. The light simply arrives. This is how peace may reach the hurting places within you, not as a great force, not as a demand, as a small warmth, a softer thought, a moment when you breathe without fear, a moment when the memory returns but does not take everything from you, a moment when you realize that you are still here. Peace may first appear as space around the pain. The wound may still exist, but it is no longer filling the entire inner world. There is room for another feeling now. There is room for rest. There is room for kindness. There is room for the possibility that life can become different. If the wound came from rejection, peace does not tell you that rejection did not hurt. It tells you that rejection was not the final truth about you. It reminds you that another person's decision did not remove your value. It reminds you that your ability to love was not foolish. It reminds you that being turned away from one place does not mean there is no place where you belong. Rejection can make the heart search for what is wrong with itself. It can make you question your face, your body, your personality, your needs, your past, your way of loving. You may try to find one reason that explains why you were not chosen. But not every ending is a judgment. Sometimes people leave because they cannot meet the depth you bring. Sometimes they are fighting battles you cannot see. Sometimes they choose what is familiar to them, even when what is familiar is unhealthy. Sometimes two paths simply do not continue together. What happened may still hurt, but it does not become a sentence against you. Peace enters the wound of rejection and says, you were still worthy in that moment. You were still worthy before the ending. You were still worthy during the silence. You are still worthy now. You do not have to keep changing yourself in your mind to become someone who would have been chosen. The past does not need a different version of you. The present needs you to stop blaming the version who was there. Let peace move into the place that still asks, what was wrong with me? Let it answer gently, you were not without value. You were in a situation that could not give you what you needed. If the wound came from abandonment, peace does not promise that no one will ever leave. It gives you something deeper. It reminds you that you can remain with yourself. Abandonment can create a fear that every connection will disappear. It can make the heart hold too tightly. It can make silence feel dangerous. It can make you accept poor treatment because losing the connection feels worse than losing yourself. Peace enters this wound and says, you do not have to chase what is walking away. You do not have to beg for what should be given freely. You do not have to prove that you deserve care. You can feel the fear without obeying it. You can let another person choose their path without making their path your identity. Peace says, even if someone leaves, you are not left without love. You can return to your own heart. You can remain connected to life. You can receive care in new ways. You can become a safe place for yourself. This does not remove the sadness. It gives the sadness somewhere to rest. If the wound came from regret, peace does not tell you that the choice did not matter. It tells you that one choice does not have to become your whole life. Regret can keep the mind trapped in a moment that no longer exists. You may replay what happened, and imagine a different answer, a different path, a different ending. You may ask, what if I had left sooner? What if I had spoken? What if I had waited? What if I had known? These questions can become a room with no door because the past cannot respond. Peace enters and says, "You know more now. You can use what you know. You can choose differently. You can stop asking the old version of you to have wisdom that only came through experience. You can wish something had been different without hating yourself. You can take the lesson without carrying endless punishment. Peace does not rewrite the past. It changes the way the past lives inside you. It allows the memory to become information instead of a weapon. It allows the mistake to become a teacher instead of a prison. You may still feel sadness when you remember, but the sadness no longer has to say, "You ruined everything." It can say, "You learned. You grew. You became more awake. There is still life ahead." If the wound comes from grief, peace does not ask you to stop loving what was lost. It does not ask you to act as if the absence does not matter. Grief is love that no longer has the same place to go. It can arrive in waves. It can return through a smell, a room, a date, a sound, or a memory you did not expect. You may feel fine for a while and then feel the loss again. This does not mean you are moving backward. It means love remembers. Peace enters grief gently. It does not close the heart. It makes space around the love. It says, the bond mattered. The loss was real. And you are allowed to keep living. Moving forward does not mean leaving love behind. Feeling joy again does not mean you have forgotten. Resting does not mean the loss mattered less. Peace allows love and life to exist together. It lets the heart carry memory without being crushed by memory. If the wound comes from shame, peace does not hide the truth. It does not say that every action was right. It says that punishment is not the only way to change. Shame often tells you that you are the mistake. It does not say something went wrong. It says you are wrong. It makes you believe that love must be kept away until you become better. It makes you hide. It makes you think you have to suffer before you are allowed to receive kindness. Peace enters shame and separates your identity from your action. It says, you may have done something you regret. You may have chosen from fear. You may have acted without understanding. But you are more than that moment. You can take responsibility. You can make things right where possible. You can learn. You can become different. And you can do all of this without hating yourself. Hatred does not create the deepest change. Love gives you the strength to face the truth and still remain present. Peace says, You are allowed to become wiser without becoming cruel to yourself. If the wound comes from loneliness, peace does not pretend the empty space is not there. It does not tell you that you should never need connection. Humans need warmth. They need care. They need to feel seen. Loneliness can hurt because it touches the fear of being forgotten. It can make the night feel endless. It can make the room seem colder. Peace enters loneliness and says, this moment of feeling alone is not the same as being alone in all of life. You are still connected to the world. You are still part of something larger than this room. There are people you have not met. There are forms of love you have not yet received. There are gentle moments still waiting. There is also your own presence. You can place a hand near your heart and know that you are not completely abandoned. You are here. You are listening. You are staying. This is not a replacement for all other love. It is the beginning of refusing to leave yourself while you wait for more love to arrive. Peace does not remove every need. It gives you strength not to fill the need with what harms you. It lets you remain open without becoming desperate. It helps you choose connection that feels honest, steady, and kind. You may have protected the wound with pain for a long time. Pain may have felt like proof that what happened mattered. You may have believed that if you let peace enter, you would be saying the past was acceptable. But peace does not approve of harm. It releases your heart from carrying the harm every moment. You can say, what happened was not right for me. What happened hurt deeply, and I am still allowed to receive peace. You can honor the wound without worshiping it. You can remember without returning. You can care without staying trapped. You can love what was good without opening the door to what was harmful. Peace gives you room to hold more than one truth. You can miss someone and know that returning would not be healthy. You can forgive and still keep a boundary. You can feel love and still choose yourself. You can remember the good and still accept why it ended. You can be grateful for a lesson and still wish the lesson had come in a gentler way. The heart is able to hold these truths. It does not need to make everything simple. Peace is allowed to reach the place I have been protecting with pain. Let that thought come close. You do not have to release the protection immediately. The hurting part may still believe it needs pain to stay alert. You can explain gently, we are learning a new kind of safety. We do not have to stay tense to remember the lesson. We do not have to keep the wound open to know that it mattered. We do not have to expect another hurt every time something good approaches. Peace can protect you too. Peace can help you see clearly. Peace can help you notice what feels wrong without panic. Peace can help you set a boundary without hatred. Peace can help you walk away without losing yourself. Pain is not the only teacher. You can learn through calm. You can learn through self-respect. You can learn through love. Imagine peace moving toward the wound like warm water reaching dry ground. The ground may not change at once. It may have been dry for a long time. but the water does not become angry. It keeps arriving gently. It touches the surface. It begins to soften what became hard. It reaches small spaces. It brings life where nothing seemed able to grow. This is what your loving attention can do. Each time you speak kindly to yourself, peace arrives. Each time you stop replaying the same cruel thought, peace arrives. Each time you choose not to chase, peace arrives. Each time you rest instead of proving your worth, peace arrives. Each time you say no to what drains you, peace arrives. Each time you forgive yourself for needing time, peace arrives. You may not notice a great change. The deepest healing is often quiet. It may look like one night when you do not check again. One morning when the first thought is not the old pain. One conversation where you speak honestly. One moment when you remember what happened and still feel your feet under you. One choice to protect your energy. One time when the fear rises and you answer it with love. These are signs that peace is entering. The wound may still be present, but it is no longer alone. There is warmth around it. There is understanding around it. There is a new voice within you. You are still worthy. You are still held by life. You are still capable of beginning again. You are still allowed to trust slowly. You are still allowed to hope. You are still allowed to receive something gentler than what you knew before. Something soft is reaching you now, not to erase your story, not to tell you that it did not matter, to remind you that the story is not finished. The wound is not the final chapter. The night is not the end of hope. The part that hurts is not beyond love. Peace can enter there. Peace can sit there. Peace can remain there long enough for the hurting part to understand that it no longer has to survive alone. You may have learned ways of protecting yourself that once seemed necessary. You may have learned to expect disappointment. You may have learned to watch every change in another person's voice. You may have learned to hide what you needed. You may have learned to stay busy so the feelings could not reach you. You may have learned to think about every possible problem before it happened. You may have learned to criticize yourself before anyone else had the chance. These patterns did not appear for no reason. They may have been your way of staying safe. They may have helped you move through moments that felt uncertain. They may have helped you feel prepared when life felt out of control. You do not need to hate these old ways. You can understand them. You can thank them. And you can begin to release them. What protected you in one season does not have to control every season. Perhaps you learned to expect rejection before it happened. You may look for signs that someone is losing interest. You may notice every small distance. You may prepare yourself for the ending before there is an ending. Part of you may believe that expecting pain makes pain easier. If you see it coming, perhaps it will not surprise you. If you assume the worst, perhaps you will not feel foolish for hoping. But expecting rejection also keeps the heart from fully receiving care. It can make good moments feel unsafe. It can make you question every kind word. It can make you pull away before another person has the chance to know you. You may be living inside a future pain that has not happened. You can tell this part, "Thank you for trying to protect me. I know you do not want me to be surprised again, but I do not need to turn every silence into rejection. I do not need to create the ending before the connection has had time to grow. I can notice what is real without adding what fear imagines." This does not mean ignoring signs. It means seeing clearly. Fear reacts before the truth is known. Peace waits, observes, and chooses. You are learning to trust your wisdom more than your panic. Perhaps you learn to overthink every message or silence. You read the words many times. You search for hidden meaning. You wonder what changed. You imagine what another person is feeling. You build whole conversations from a short response. The mind may believe that enough thinking will create certainty, but overthinking rarely gives certainty. It creates more stories. You can ask, what do I actually know? What is fact? What is fear? What can wait until there is more information? This can bring the mind back from imagination. You do not have to solve every silence. You do not have to fill every empty space with danger. You can allow another person to communicate when they are ready. You can decide what you need based on consistent actions, not one tired moment. You can release the habit of giving every small sign a large meaning. Perhaps you learn to check repeatedly for reassurance. You check the phone. You check the message. You check whether someone viewed something. You check whether the situation changed. You check because the body wants relief. For a short moment, checking may feel like action. But if nothing has changed, the fear becomes stronger. Then you check again. The pattern begins to control your peace. You can understand the need under the checking. You want to feel chosen. You want to feel safe. You want to know that you have not been forgotten. You can offer some of that safety from within. You can say, I do not need to keep hurting myself with the same question. If there is something I need to know, it will become clear. My worth does not change between messages. My life does not stop while I wait. You can place the phone down without telling yourself that you do not care. You can care and still protect your nervous system. You can wait without making waiting your whole life. Perhaps you learned to control every possible outcome. You make plans for every problem. You prepare explanations. You imagine how every conversation should go. You try to guide how others respond. Control may feel like safety. If everything happens in the correct way, perhaps you will not be hurt. But life does not always follow a careful plan. People make choices. Doors close. Timelines change. Unexpected things happen. Control becomes exhausting because it asks you to manage what cannot be fully managed. You can choose preparation without trying to own the future. You can make a wise plan and leave room for life. You can speak honestly and release how the words are received. You can take care of your part and allow others to carry theirs. You can say, I will do what is mine to do. I will not spend the night trying to control what is not mine. This is not giving up. It is learning where your power truly lives. Your power lives in your choice, your words, your boundary, your action, your response. It does not live in another person's mind. It does not live in every future event. It does not live in making life obey your fear. Perhaps you learn to remain emotionally guarded. You may want love, but feel afraid when it comes close. You may keep part of yourself hidden. You may not say what you truly feel. You may leave before someone has the chance to leave you. You may act as if nothing matters because caring once became painful. The guard may have helped you survive. It may have prevented you from feeling too exposed, but a wall that blocks pain may also block warmth. You do not need to remove every guard at once. You can begin with small honesty. You can say what you need in a safe place. You can allow one kind person to know a little more of the real you. You can notice when you pull away because of an old fear rather than a present danger. You can learn that openness does not mean giving everyone access. You can remain wise. You can have boundaries. You can choose who is safe. You can let the heart open slowly without forcing it. Perhaps you learn to hide your needs to avoid disappointment. You may believe that needing less makes you easier to love. You may say you are fine when you are not. You may accept unclear behavior because asking for clarity feels risky. You may give without asking whether you have enough to give. The old way may say, if I ask for nothing, I cannot be rejected. But a need that is hidden does not disappear. It may become resentment. It may become sadness. It may become a quiet belief that no one cares, even when no one was given the chance to understand. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to express them. You are allowed to discover that some people cannot meet them. That truth may hurt, but it also gives you freedom. You do not have to remain in places where your basic needs are always treated as too much. You can say, this matters to me. I need honesty. I need respect. I need steadiness. I need rest. I need time. Your needs do not make you difficult. They heal. You understand what allows your heart to feel safe. Perhaps you learn to criticize yourself first. If you notice every flaw before anyone else does, maybe criticism will hurt less. If you call yourself foolish, lazy, unattractive, weak, or too sensitive, perhaps another person's words will not surprise you. But self-criticism does not protect you. It keeps the old hurt alive inside your own voice. You may have left the situation where the criticism began, but the voice continued. You can begin to change that voice. When the mind says you always ruin things, you can answer, I am learning. When it says you are too much, you can answer, I am allowed to feel. When it says no one will choose you, you can answer, my future is not decided by an old wound. When it says you should be over this, you can answer, healing does not need your permission to take time. You do not have to become your own attacker to avoid being attacked. You can become your own ally. Perhaps you learned to stay busy so you would not have to feel. You work, you clean, you scroll, you help. You fill every quiet moment. Movement can be useful, but constant movement may be hiding exhaustion. When the body stops, the feelings rise, and you begin again. You may have forgotten how to be quiet without feeling afraid. You can relearn. You can let a quiet moment be small. You do not have to sit with every feeling for a long time. You can simply notice, I feel sadness, I feel tired, I feel alone. Then remind yourself, I am safe enough to feel this and remain here. The feeling may rise and move. You do not have to run. You do not have to solve. You can let stillness become less frightening over time. Perhaps you learn to replay pain to prevent being surprised again. You study what happened. You search for the sign you missed. You try to understand the exact moment everything changed. The mind hopes that if it finds the answer, it can guarantee that the pain will never happen again. But no amount of replaying can create complete control. It can only keep the body inside the old event. You can learn the lesson and stop repeating the scene. You can remember the signs that matter. You can honor what your intuition tried to tell you. You can choose better boundaries next time. And then you can let the memory rest. You do not need to keep the wound open to prove that you are wiser now. Wisdom is shown through how you live, not how often you return to the pain. Perhaps you learned to hold tension because softness felt unsafe. The jaw stays tight, the shoulders stay raised, the hands stay closed, the mind stays alert. The body may believe that relaxing means becoming unprotected. You can speak to the body gently. We do not have to release everything at once. We are only noticing that this moment is quieter than the past. We are learning that softness does not always lead to harm. We are learning that rest is not carelessness. We are learning that peace can so protect us. The body may need many gentle experiences before it trusts. That is okay. You are not demanding. You are teaching through repetition. Each safe moment becomes new information. Each loving boundary becomes new information. Each time you listen to yourself, the body learns that it does not have to scream. Each time you walk away from disrespect, the body learns that you can protect it. Each time you choose rest, the body learns that care is available. I no longer need pain to keep me prepared. This does not mean you forget. It means you no longer need to live as though the old pain is happening every day. You can remember and still feel safe now. You can carry wisdom without carrying fear. You can notice danger without seeing danger everywhere. You can protect yourself without closing your heart to every good thing. I am learning that peace can also keep me safe. Peace helps you notice. Peace gives you time before reacting. Peace allows you to hear your inner truth. Peace helps you choose a boundary without losing yourself in anger. Peace helps you leave what hurts without needing to prove anything. Peace is not weakness. It is the place where your wisdom becomes clear. The old survival ways may return. A silence may still create fear. A memory may still bring tension. You may still feel the urge to check, chase, explain, or control. Do not turn this into another reason to judge yourself. Notice the pattern, name it gently, then choose again. You can say, "This is an old way of protecting me. I understand why it is here." But I am learning another response. You may still check once and then remember. You may still begin to overthink and then stop. You may still feel guarded and then offer one honest sentence. The return matters. You are not trying to become perfect. You are building a new path through repeated choices. The old path became automatic because you walked it many times. The new path may feel uncertain because it is still forming. Keep walking it gently. I release the habits that keep my heart awake. I release the need to expect pain before it arrives. I release the need to control every answer. I release the need to hide every feeling. I release the need to punish myself before anyone else can. I release the belief that worry proves I care. You do not need to release everything in one moment. Let one old habit loosen. Let one fear become less powerful. Let one part of the body understand that it can stop guarding for a while. You are not losing protection. You are changing the form of protection. The old protection used fear. The new protection uses awareness. The old protection used control. The new protection uses boundaries. The old protection used self-criticism. The new protection uses honest care. The old protection kept the heart awake. The new protection allows the heart to rest. You can thank the old ways. They brought you this far, but they do not have to follow you into every future moment. You are learning another way now, a softer way, a wiser way, a way that does not require constant pain to feel prepared, a way where peace is not something to fear, a way where the hurting part can slowly understand that it no longer has to stand guard alone. Rest is not empty time. It may look as though nothing is happening when the room becomes still and your eyes grow heavy. It may seem as though the questions remain exactly where they were. The pain is still present. and the future is still unknown. But quiet does not mean nothing is moving. Some of the deepest changes begin where the eyes cannot see them. The earth continues moving through the darkness. Roots keep growing under the soil. Morning begins to form before the first light appears. A seed does not announce every small change happening within it. It simply receives what it needs and slowly becomes something new. You are allowed to trust that your inner world can also change in quiet ways. You do not have to remain awake to make healing happen. You do not have to keep thinking about the problem so it knows you care. You do not have to watch every fear through the night. You do not have to force your heart to understand what it is not ready to understand. Rest can carry you when thought has carried you far enough. Perhaps you have been trying to solve the same question for many days. You have looked at it from every side. You have returned to the beginning. You have imagined different endings. You have searched for the exact thought that would finally make the pain disappear. Yet the mind can become too tired to see clearly. When you keep pushing for an answer, fear may begin speaking louder than wisdom. You may mistake urgency for truth. You may believe you must make a choice immediately when what you really need is a little space. Sleep can create that space, not because every answer appears in a dream, not because every problem disappears by morning, but because the body and mind no longer have to hold the same tight shape for every moment. A thought that feels impossible at night may feel more manageable after rest. A decision that feels frightening may become simpler when the body is not exhausted. A memory that feels close may move a little farther away. A feeling that seems permanent may soften around the edges. You may wake with one new idea. You may wake with no new idea, but with more strength to face the day. That is also support. You do not need a great sign to know that rest matters. Sometimes the change is very small. You answer more slowly instead of reacting at once. You feel the urge to chase, but you choose to wait. You remember the pain, but you do not speak to yourself with the same cruelty. You notice a problem and take one calm step instead of imagining the worst. You feel tired and allow yourself to care for the body instead of pushing it harder. These changes may be quiet, but quiet change can create a different life. You may not notice the moment when fear loses some of its power. You may only notice later that you are no longer doing what you always did. You are no longer checking as often. You are no longer making every silence mean something terrible. You are no longer waking with the same need to return to the past. You are no longer giving every thought your full trust. Something inside you is learning. Something inside you is making room. Something inside you is becoming less willing to live in constant fear. This is the quiet work of healing. It does not always arrive with a powerful feeling. It does not always feel beautiful. Sometimes it feels like being too tired to continue fighting. Sometimes it feels like admitting that you do not know. Sometimes it feels like choosing not to send the message. Sometimes it feels like placing the problem down because your body can no longer carry it tonight. These moments are not failures. They are openings. Life does not stop supporting you when you close your eyes. The world continues moving. People continue making choices. New paths continue forming. Answers may come through time, through honest talks, through new understanding, through a change of heart, through a closed door, or through a direction you cannot yet see. You do not need to know how everything will happen. The need to know can become another weight. You may have believed that trust means being certain, but trust can exist while you are unsure. Trust can sound like, I do not know what comes next, but I do not need to frighten myself tonight. Trust can sound like, I cannot control the answer, but I can care for myself while I wait. Trust can sound like, I will meet tomorrow when tomorrow arrives. Trust does not ask you to pretend that everything will happen exactly as you want. It asks you to leave room for life to show you something beyond what fear expects. Fear often believes there are only two endings, the one you want and the one that destroys you. But life has many paths. Something may not happen in the form you expected, yet another form may bring more peace. A door may remain closed because another direction is better for you. A connection may end and create space for a healthier one. A plan may change and lead you towards something you would not have chosen at first. You do not need to force yourself to believe that every painful event is good. Pain can simply be painful. Loss can simply be loss. But even after pain, life can still create something new. Even after loss, the heart can still learn another way to live. Even after disappointment, there can still be meaning, care, and hope. You do not have to decide the whole meaning tonight. Let life reveal more with time. Perhaps you have been trying to heal by watching yourself closely. You measure every emotion. You ask whether you are better yet. You notice one difficult thought and believe you have lost all progress. But healing cannot breathe when it is being tested every moment. You do not need to ask yourself each night, am I healed now? You can ask something kinder. Can I give myself what I need in this moment? Maybe you need rest. Maybe you need silence. Maybe you need to stop reading old messages. Maybe you need to stop searching for signs. Maybe you need to remember that your worth is not changing while you sleep. Healing does not need to be watched like a task. It needs a safe place to unfold. You can become that safe place by removing some pressure. You can say, I do not have to feel different immediately. I do not have to wake as a completely new person. I only need to allow this night to be gentle. The mind may resist this. It may say that if you stop thinking, you will lose control. It may remind you of everything unfinished. It may create another question. That is what the worried mind has practiced. You do not need to become angry with it. You can answer with patience. Thank you for trying to protect me. We have thought about this enough for today. We may return to it when there is more light. The mind may return again. Answer again without a fight. Not now. The night is for rest. This gentle limit teaches the mind that it does not have to work every hour. It teaches the body that you are willing to protect its need for quiet. It teaches the hurting part that peace will not abandon it. You can place the day into the care of the night. You can let the unfinished conversation remain where it is. You can let the person you are thinking about have their own night. You can let tomorrow carry tomorrow's tasks. You can let the body do what it naturally knows how to do when it is not being pushed by fear. There is wisdom in your body that does not require constant thought. The heart keeps beating without your command. The breath continues without a plan. The body moves toward balance in many quiet ways. You do not need to understand every part of this process to respect it. You can support it through rest, kindness, and less inner pressure. Perhaps the first quiet change will be simple. You may feel a little less need to know. You may feel a small space between the thought and the reaction. You may wake and choose not to return immediately to the same worry. You may notice that your body does not feel as tightly held. Do not dismiss these small signs. A new life often begins through changes that no one else can see. The moment you choose not to attack yourself is a change. The moment you allow uncertainty without creating a disaster in your mind is a change. The moment you stop carrying another person's choices is a change. The moment you rest before everything is solved is a change. Each small change tells your inner world that another way is possible. You are no longer teaching yourself that peace must wait until life is perfect. You are allowing peace to become part of how you move through an unfinished life. Something gentle can be working even when you cannot see it. Let that thought stay near you. It does not promise an instant answer. It does not ask you to ignore reality. It only reminds you that the current moment is not the whole story. You do not know what understanding may come. You do not know what strength may return. You do not know what door may open after you stop pushing the wrong one. You do not know what your heart may be able to release after it feels safe enough. You are allowed not to know. You can allow the night to hold what you no longer need to solve. Let the questions rest beside you without demanding answers. Let the future remain unwritten. Let the past become quiet for a while. Life continues supporting you while you rest, not through fear, not through control, through time, through breath, through the return of strength, through the space that quiet can create. You may sleep without keeping watch. You may release the need to protect the future with worry. You may trust that what needs your attention can meet you again when you are more able to respond. The night is not asking you to finish everything. It is asking you to receive what the day could not give. Stillness, distance, softness, a little room around what hurts. You do not need to force the room to become peaceful. You only need to stop filling it with another round of fear. Let quiet be quiet. Let rest be enough. Your body may still be carrying moments that the day has already left behind. The conversation is over, but the jaw is still tight. The work is finished, but the shoulders are still lifted. The room is safe, but the chest is still guarded. No one is asking anything from you, but the hands still feel ready to act. The mind may understand that the day has ended while the body is still waiting for something else to happen. This is not because the body is against you. The body may simply need more time to believe that it can stop. It has carried your thoughts, your effort, your fear, your hope, your disappointment, and your strength. It has moved with you through everything you face today, including the things no one else saw. Your body deserves kindness now. Not because it has behaved perfectly, not because it looks a certain way, not because it has never felt tired, tense, or unwell. It deserves kindness because it is your home. You may have learned to speak to the body only when something feels wrong. You notice pain and become frightened. You notice tiredness and become angry. You notice tension and tell yourself to relax. You notice your limits and wish they were different. The body then receives fear at the exact moment it needs care. You can change the way you meet it. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" you can ask, "What are you trying to tell me?" Instead of saying, "Why can you not relax?" you can say, "I understand that you have been carrying a lot." Instead of demanding that the body become calm, you can give it permission to soften in its own time. The body may not release everything at once. That is okay. You do not need to become fully relaxed to deserve rest. You may stay. I'll feel a tight place. You may still notice the heart beating strongly. You may still feel the stomach holding fear. You can stay kind while these feelings move. Notice the jaw. Perhaps it has been holding words you did not say. Perhaps it has been preparing for an argument that never happened. Perhaps it became tight while you tried to remain calm for everyone else. You do not need to force it open. You can simply let it know that the conversation is over for tonight. Nothing more needs to be said right now. Notice the shoulders. They may feel as though they are carrying names, tasks, bills, plans, and worries. They may be holding the pressure to remain strong. They may have forgotten what it feels like to receive support. You can tell them that they do not need to carry tomorrow yet. Tomorrow has not arrived. The weight of tomorrow does not belong on tonight's shoulders. Notice the chest. Perhaps it feels protected. Perhaps it has been guarding sadness. Perhaps it has been trying not to feel too much. You do not need to open every hidden feeling. You can simply allow a little more room around the heart. You can remind the heart that this room is not the past. This moment is not the moment that hurt you. You are here now. Notice the stomach. It may be holding the fear of what could happen. It may react before you even know what thought has passed through your mind. You can place gentle attention there and say, "We do not have to solve the future from this bed. We can meet what comes when it comes." Notice the hands. Are they closed? Are they ready to hold, fix, search, or reach? The hands have done enough. They do not need to keep grasping for an answer. They can rest without losing what belongs to you. You do not have to hold tightly to prevent life from changing. What is true will remain true without your fear. What needs to leave cannot be kept through tension. What is meant to grow will need room, not constant pressure. Your body may have learned that softness is unsafe. Maybe there were times when you had to remain alert. Maybe rest was interrupted. Maybe quiet was followed by danger. Maybe the body learned to expect that peace would not last. This learning does not disappear because you tell yourself to calm down. It changes through new experiences. A gentle night becomes new information. A boundary becomes new information. Leaving a harmful situation becomes new information. Turning away from upsetting material becomes new information. Speaking to yourself with respect becomes new information. Each time you protect your peace, the body learns that you are listening. Each time you stop before exhaustion, the body learns that its needs matter. Each time you do not return to what hurt you, the body learns that you can keep it safe. Safety is not only a thought, it is a relationship you build with yourself. You build it by becoming more honest about what drains you. You build it by noticing when enough is enough. You build it by removing yourself from what keeps the body in fear. You build it by choosing people and places where you do not have to remain guarded all the time. You build it by allowing rest before you reach the point of collapse. Perhaps you have treated rest as something you can receive only after every responsibility is finished. But the list may never be completely finished. The body still needs care. You are allowed to choose sleep while something remains undone. You are allowed to stop looking at the screen. You are allowed to step away from a difficult talk. You are allowed to make the room quieter. You are allowed to protect the final part of the day from more noise. These choices are not selfish. They are acts of respect. dear body, you have carried enough today. Let those words become warm instead of demanding. You do not have to remain ready for every possible problem. The day is no longer asking you to run. You are allowed to feel what supports you beneath you. You are allowed to become heavier. You are allowed to stop holding yourself away from rest. Perhaps the body does not trust this permission yet. Offer it without force. You may rest. You do not have to explain why you are tired. You do not have to prove that you worked hard enough. You do not have to wait for someone else to tell you that you deserve a break. The body may need simple care: water, warmth, less light, less noise, a clean place to lie down, a few kind words. Care does not have to be grand to be real. Small acts tell the body, I have not forgotten you. You may have spent the day thinking about everyone else. Now you can notice the body that carried you while you cared. You may have spoken kindly to others while speaking harshly inside. Now you can change the voice the body hears. Instead of saying you are too tired, say you have done a lot. Instead of saying you should be stronger, say you are allowed to need support. Instead of saying, why do you feel this way? Say, I am listening. The body is not your enemy. It is not trying to stop you from living. It may be asking you to live in a way that does not require constant struggle. It may be asking for a slower rhythm. It may be asking for honesty. It may be asking you to stop saying yes when the answer inside is no. It may be asking you to leave a pattern that keeps creating fear. It may be asking you to treat rest as necessary rather than optional. You do not need to understand every signal alone. Practical care and professional support can also be acts of love when they are needed. Listening to the body does not mean ignoring wise help. It means you stop treating care as failure. There is courage in seeking support. There is strength in admitting that the body needs attention. There is love in doing what helps you feel safer and healthier. For this moment, you do not have to decide anything. You can let the body feel your presence. I am here. I am no longer asking you to carry every thought. I am no longer blaming you for feeling tired. I am willing to learn what kindness feels like from within. The body may respond slowly. It may not change in one night. But each gentle response begins a new pattern. You are teaching the body that your voice can be safe. You are teaching it that feelings will not always be met with criticism. You are teaching it that tiredness will not always be punished. You are teaching it that peace is allowed to stay longer. I am safe enough to soften without losing myself. This does not mean you must lower every guard. It means you can release what is not needed in this room. You can remain wise and still rest. You can have boundaries and still soften. You can protect your heart without making the whole body live in fear. Softness is not the same as weakness. A soft body can still say no. A rested mind can still see danger clearly. A peaceful heart can still walk away. You do not need tension to prove that you are strong. Real strength can include the ability to stop. Let the body be human. Let it be tired. Let it be unfinished. Let it be worthy of care exactly as it is tonight. You do not need to love every part perfectly. Begin by stopping the attack. Begin by offering respect. Begin by saying, "This body has stayed with me through everything. It deserves a gentle night. Tomorrow does not need to become another copy of yesterday." The same situation may still exist. The same questions may still be waiting. The world may not look completely different when morning comes, but you can meet it through a new inner agreement. You can decide that you will not carry pain in exactly the same way. You can remember without reopening the wound on purpose. You can care without chasing. You can feel uncertain without preparing for disaster. You can have a difficult emotion without turning it into a judgment about your whole life. A new agreement does not promise that you will never struggle again. It gives you a different way to respond when the struggle appears. Perhaps the old agreement said, "I must understand everything before I can feel safe." The new agreement can say, "I may not know yet, and I can still take care of myself." Perhaps the old agreement said, "If someone pulls away, I must run after them." The new agreement can say, "I will not abandon myself to keep another person close." Perhaps the old agreement said, "Pain means I am failing." The new agreement can say, "Pain is something I can meet with patience." Perhaps the old agreement said, "I must be strong every moment." The new agreement can say, "I am allowed to receive support." These changes may begin as words. They become real through repeated choices. Morning may bring the urge to return immediately to the old worry. You may want to reach for the phone. You may want to check whether something has changed. You may want to search for an answer before your feet touch the floor. Your new agreement can create a small space. I will meet myself before I meet the fear. You can let the first thought be kind. You can allow the body to wake before carrying the whole story again. You can remember that the problem has not earned the first moment of every day. You may still think about it later, but you do not have to hand it the morning immediately. Perhaps tomorrow you will choose one peaceful action before returning to the outside world. You may drink water. You may sit quietly. You may open a window. You may stretch gently. You may remind yourself that a new day does not have to begin inside yesterday's pain. This is not avoiding reality. It is choosing the state from which you will meet reality. Fear reacts quickly. Wisdom often needs a little room. Give yourself that room. Your new agreement may be that you will no longer measure your worth through another person's response. If they answer, your worth remains. If they do not answer, your worth remains. If they understand, your worth remains. If they misunderstand, your worth remains. If they choose you, your worth remains. If they walk another path, your worth remains. This can be difficult to believe after rejection, but your value existed before their opinion. It continues after their choice. Another person may affect your feelings. They do not create your worth. Tomorrow, when the old question appears, "What do they think of me?" you can ask another question. What do I know about myself? Do I know that I tried to be honest? Do I know that I deserve respect? Do I know that I am learning? Do I know that I am allowed to walk away from confusion? Let your own knowledge become stronger than imagined judgment. Perhaps your new agreement is that you will listen to your needs before they become pain. You will notice tiredness. You will notice when something feels wrong. You will notice when you are giving more than you can give. You will notice when your body becomes tense around a person or situation. You do not have to act on every feeling at once, but you can stop ignoring yourself. You can write down what matters. You can ask for time. You can say no. You can seek support. You can make one change. Listening to yourself does not mean becoming controlled by every emotion. It means your emotions are no longer treated as meaningless. Your heart is allowed to be part of your decisions. Your body is allowed to be part of your choices. Your peace is allowed to matter. Perhaps your new agreement is that you will not return to what harms you only because you feel lonely. Loneliness may still appear. It may speak loudly. It may tell you that any connection is better than no connection. But you have learned that some connections make loneliness deeper. Being near someone who does not see you can feel more lonely than being by yourself. Chasing unclear love can create more emptiness than silence. Your new agreement can say, "I will not use my loneliness as a reason to accept what breaks my peace. I will allow the empty space to become a place where something healthier can grow." The empty space may feel uncomfortable. Do not rush to fill it with the old pattern. Let it remain open. An open space is not always a loss. It can become freedom. It can become self-knowledge. It can become room for a different kind of love. Perhaps your new agreement is that you will stop speaking to yourself as if you are the enemy. Tomorrow, mistakes may happen. You may react from an old habit. You may think a fearful thought. You may become tired. The old voice may say, "You are never going to change." The new agreement can answer, "I noticed, and I can return." Growth does not require perfect behavior. It requires honest return. You do not lose all progress because of one difficult moment. You do not become the old version of yourself because an old fear returned. The fear may know the old road very well. You are still learning the new one. Be patient with the learning. You can correct yourself without attacking yourself. You can take responsibility without shame. You can begin again in the next moment. I am becoming a safe place for my own heart, A safe place does not mean a place where no difficult feeling ever appears. It means a place where difficult feelings are not punished. It means you can feel afraid and remain kind. You can feel sad and remain present. You can feel angry and listen for the boundary beneath the anger. You can feel uncertain without leaving yourself. This is how safety grows within. Not through perfect calm, through trust that you will not become cruel when life is hard. I can remember the past without giving it control of today. The past may visit through a thought. It may appear through a place, a sound, or a familiar feeling. You do not have to pretend it is gone. You can notice it and remember where you are. That was then. This is now. I know more now. I have choices now. I can protect myself now. I do not have to repeat what happened. The past can become part of your wisdom without becoming the ruler of your present. I am allowed to move forward without receiving every answer. This may be one of the hardest agreements. The mind wants a complete ending. It wants to know why. It wants to know whether the other person understands. It wants to know whether justice will come. It wants to know whether the choice was right. Sometimes answers arrive. Sometimes they do not. You cannot keep your future locked while waiting for the past to explain itself. You can move with what you know. You know what hurt. You know what you need. You know what you no longer wish to accept. You know what kind of peace you want to protect. That may be enough to take the next step. My worth remains whole even when life feels uncertain. Uncertainty may shake your plans. It does not reduce your value. A delayed answer does not make you less worthy. A closed door does not make you a failure. A difficult season does not become your identity. You remain a person deserving of care while life is unclear. You do not have to solve uncertainty by blaming yourself. You can remain gentle while waiting. Peace is becoming more familiar within me. At first, peace may feel strange. You may be used to worry. You may believe that calm means something bad is about to happen. You may create a problem because stillness feels too empty. Do not judge this. The body is learning. Let peace stay for a little longer each time it appears. Do not search for a reason to lose it. Do not tell yourself that you do not deserve it. Do not believe that worry is more responsible than calm. Peace can become familiar through small choices. A slower response, a protected morning, a clear boundary, a kinder thought, a night when you choose not to reopen the wound. Tomorrow, you do not need to remember every agreement perfectly. Choose one. Perhaps your agreement is, I will not begin the day by chasing an answer. Perhaps it is, I will listen to my body. Perhaps it is, I will speak kindly to myself. Perhaps it is, I will stop making someone else's choice a judgment of my worth. Let one agreement guide the day. A new life does not begin through one large promise. It begins when the same gentle truth becomes a repeated action. Each time you keep the agreement, trust grows. Each time you break it and return without shame, trust also grows. You are showing yourself that you can be counted on. You are becoming the person who stays. Nothing more is required from you tonight. You do not need to become better before you sleep. You do not need to find the missing answer. You do not need to make peace with every memory. You have done enough for this day. Let the night receive you as you are. Let it receive the tired thoughts. Let it receive the feelings you could not explain. Let it receive the part of you that tried to be strong. You do not have to carry the whole story into sleep. The day is complete. It may not have been easy. It may not have gone as planned. There may still be something you wish had happened differently. But the day has reached its end. You may release the need to remain emotionally alert. Nothing needs to be watched every second. Nothing needs to be fixed from this tired place. You can trust that what needs attention can meet you again after rest. I am safe in this present moment. Let the sentence remain simple. You do not need to search the future. You do not need to visit the past. In this moment, you are here. The bed supports you. The room holds you. The night is asking nothing from you. I place down what I cannot solve tonight. The problem may still exist tomorrow, but it does not need to live in every thought tonight. You may set it down without losing responsibility. You may care without carrying it through sleep. You may say, I will meet you again when I have more strength. I release the conversations I keep replaying. The words were said. The silence happened. The moment has passed. Replaying it cannot change what was spoken. It cannot force another person to understand. It cannot return you to the exact moment with new knowledge. You may let the conversation become quiet. You may stop answering words that are no longer being spoken. You may stop creating new endings inside your mind. I release the need to understand everything before I rest. Some understanding comes slowly. Some answers arrive through time. Some questions lose their power even when they are never fully answered. You do not need complete understanding to give yourself care. You do not need closure from another person to stop opening the wound every night. You can begin creating closure through the way you protect yourself now. I stay with the part of me that feels tender. You do not have to hide the tender part. It does not need to become hard. It only needs to know that you will not leave. You can feel sadness without calling yourself weak. You can need comfort without feeling ashamed. You can wish things were different and still allow peace to come near. I do not shame my heart for needing comfort. The heart has carried much. It has hoped. It has trusted. It has lost. It has tried again. It is allowed to become tired. It is allowed to ask for gentleness. You do not have to tell the heart that it should be over everything. You can tell it that it is loved while it heals. I offer myself the care I once waited to receive from outside. Maybe you waited for someone to say the right words. Maybe you waited for someone to stay. Maybe you waited for someone to understand the pain they caused. You may still wish for that, but you do not have to wait to begin treating yourself with love. You can become the voice that says, I believe you. You can become the presence that says, I am not leaving. You can become the protector who says, we will not return to what keeps hurting us. Peace is finding the places within me that have felt forgotten. It does not need to arrive loudly. It may come as a softer breath. It may come as the choice not to check again. It may come as a little warmth in the chest. It may come as the first moment when the memory is present but no longer controls everything. Peace is entering gently. It does not force the pain to leave. It does not tell the heart to hurry. It stays near the wound. It reminds the wound that it is no longer alone. Peace does not need to fight what hurts. It can sit beside it until the body understands that danger is not here now. Life continues moving while I sleep. The world does not require your worry to keep turning. The morning does not require your fear to arrive. Your future does not need you to hold it tightly. You may release control for a while. You may trust the quiet. I do not need to force tomorrow into place. Tomorrow has its own light. It will bring what belongs to it. You will meet it with the strength you have then. You do not need to carry every possible version of tomorrow into this room. I trust that clarity can arrive gently. Clarity may come through a calm thought. It may come through a truth you are ready to admit. It may come through a boundary. It may come through the closing of something that no longer supports you. It may come through a new direction. You do not have to demand it now. I am still worthy of love. Pain did not remove your worth. Rejection did not remove your worth. A mistake did not remove your worth. Being tired did not remove your worth. You remain worthy even when you feel unsure of yourself. I am still worthy of kindness. You do not have to earn kindness by suffering enough. You do not have to wait until you have healed perfectly. Kindness belongs in the middle of healing. Kindness is part of healing. I am still worthy of a peaceful future. The past does not own every day that comes next. What happened may have changed you. It does not have to destroy your ability to receive good. You are allowed to build a future where the heart is not always afraid. You are allowed to choose people who feel safe. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to live with less struggle. Nothing that happened has removed my value. Let this truth reach the places that still question. Your value was present before anyone approved of you. It remained when they did not. It is not waiting in another person's hands. It belongs to you. Tonight you may stop searching for proof that you matter. You may rest as someone who already matters. Let the shoulders release what they can. Let the jaw become less responsible for unsaid words. Let the hands stop reaching. Let the heart know that it does not have to remain on guard. You have carried enough. You may rest. You may receive quiet without fearing it. You may allow the night to become a gentle place. As you lie here, let peace move toward everything within you that has been asking for tenderness. Let it move toward the tired part. Let it move toward the frightened part. Let it move toward the part that still misses what was lost. Let it move toward the part that has been waiting for an apology. Let it move toward the part that has forgotten what it feels like to trust. Peace does not need permission from the past. It can enter now. It can remind you that the pain is not the whole of you. You are also courage. You are also wisdom. You are also the part that kept going. You are also the part that is learning to choose differently. You are also the quiet hope that remains after a difficult season. The night is here. The day can leave you now. The tasks can remain where they are. The messages can wait. The answers can come in their own time. You do not need to chase them into the dark. Your heart does not have to remain ready for another hurt. Your body does not have to protect you from every future moment. You are here. You are breathing. You have reached the end of this day. That is enough. You may let the mind grow quieter in its own time. You may let the thoughts pass without following each one. You may let the memory come and go. You may let the future remain pinned. You have carried enough. You may rest. You may receive. You may let peace stay. There is nothing wrong with needing a gentle place to return to. There is nothing wrong with being tired of carrying what hurt you. There is nothing wrong with wishing that life had been softer. Your heart has not failed because it still feels. Your healing has not failed because some nights are harder than others. You are learning how to remain with yourself when the room becomes quiet. You are learning that rest does not need to be earned through suffering. You are learning that peace can come before every answer. You are learning that your body deserves care even while your life is unfinished. The hurting part of you may not need one more explanation. It may only need to know that it is no longer alone. You are here now, not to force it, not to judge it, not to demand that it become different before morning. You are here to offer a softer place. Let that be enough. Tomorrow can carry its own questions. The past can remain behind you for the night. The people you love can remain in the care of life. The future can wait beyond the morning. For now, you may belong fully to this quiet moment. You do not need to be strong. You do not need to be ready. You do not need to know what comes next. Let the night hold what feels too heavy. Let the body remember that it is allowed to stop. Let your inner voice become the comfort you once searched for outside yourself. Speak gently. Stay near. Trust the small softness that is beginning. It may not erase everything. It does not need to. A little peace is still peace. A little space is still space. A small release can still change the way the heart carries the night. Rest without asking yourself to become someone else. Rest as you are. Rest with the unfinished feelings. Rest with the questions that have no answer yet. Rest with the knowledge that you can choose again when morning comes. Tonight, you are not alone with what hurts. Love is resting there with you.